First of all, email marketing had a resurgence over the past few years. It went through a slow time where it received a bad reputation, probably deservedly. But unfortunately, there are a lot of experts out there proclaiming that email is dead or is dying. When you look at the numbers, you'll find that email is actually growing in acceptance as more and more email accounts are being created, but also because of technology, because of the reliance upon the medium of email and how people use it, what we are seeing is that email is far from being dead. In fact, what we see is that email is a vital link to people and the retailers, businesses, and the information that they want to receive. And so let's look at the value of email and how people use it and how businesses are using email now as one of the highest per-profit activities of all marketing channels. The first thing in the morning most people do is check their email. More than any other facet of online communication, email seems to be the first thing people do to check and see what messages were received. They sit down and do business before they've eaten breakfast sometimes before they even get out of bed. They're checking their email to see what was received and what's important for the first thing in the morning. But more than that, for the majority of Americans, email is a dominant activity when compared to everything else that people do online. People rely on email as one of the primary activities for their online behavior and their needs for going about the day. The Direct Marketing Association even says that email marketing has 2 times the return on investment as other online and offline marketing channels. It's estimated for every dollar that is spent in email marketing, there is at least a $40 return on that investment. This makes email one of the most profitable means of online and offline marketing. One thing that has certainly helped the resurgence of email as a vital role in business communications is the explosion of mobile devices and smartphones. In fact, 1 in 2 of your emails are probably opened on a mobile device. Or think about the ways that you use your mobile device, staying in touch, finding out what's happening. Using your mobile device to do that has increased the amount of times that people check their email, use their email, and have access to their email. And so email's resurgence is certainly dependent upon the explosion of smartphones and mobile access. But even more so, 77% of consumers prefer to receive permission-based marketing through their email. Simply said, the majority of people prefer to receive sales-based emails than getting sales messages through their social channels or other means. Because email is a more controllable format. They can keep it, they can refer back to it, they can print it off. It's much more involved and it's accessible. And so people tend to prefer that they receive marketing-based emails rather than through social channels or other means. So what are these new developments in email that have enabled a completely different level of marketing to take place and have caused a great resurgence within email as a highly profitable marketing activity? Well, the first one is triggered communications. That means that our data systems have gotten a lot smarter. We've been able to figure out that there are certain things that we can automate so that when someone takes a specific action, we can automate a message as a response. If someone is in the lead process, we can automate emails that will provide a constant drip of information that will lead them through the process or educate them through the process. We can also automate messages based on specific behaviors. So as soon as someone accomplishes one thing, then the system sends an email to move them along the way to the next accomplishment. Triggered communications are most seen and receipts and thank yous for subscribing. So triggered communications have become a vital part in the workflow because they are preset automated messages that you create one time and then you set them to be sent automatically, which saves you time and money of paying other people to do this by hand. Along with better systems is better data. We can understand more about who our recipients are. We can ask for more information about them. We can go to a third party and supplement the information that we have about them. We can look at where they are regionally. We can also look at demographic information. We can also look at their tendency to open emails and click through emails to see if they're usually on a mobile or if they're usually on a desktop or if it's a combination. We can learn much more about our recipients and speak to them in ways that they want to listen. And so the better we personalize and understand our recipients, the better messages we can send them. One of the greatest things that has enabled email is the ability to track email. We can look at all of the links that we send out in an email message, and we can see who clicks on those links, where they go, what they do, and we can come up with a valuation of the profitability of each campaign that we do. And so before you send out the next campaign, you can always go back and see what worked and what did not work. What did people respond to? What did they not respond to? You can even send to a small test set of names to see how they respond, to test your email, and then adjust it before you send to the larger group. Tracking has become much more proliferate so that we can see immediately the success of a campaign and the factors that led to that success. Segmentation enables us to look at our list in groups rather than as a big batch of names. We can start to segment out based on behavior, what people have done, what they've seen, what they've downloaded, what they've purchased. Or you can find out more about your users simply by asking them, and you can find out their gender, their age, their birth date, their zip code. And so then you can start to segment by region depending upon your business, and you can send different messages to different people. From a business standpoint, you can email people differently who live in northern, colder climates than people who live in southern, warmer climates. And you can market to them differently based on the type of business you are, if that's relevant to you, and see differences in the way people behave just based on region. And when you segment out, what you're doing is taking groups of like people and treating them differently based on who they are. And when you do that, you move into personalization. It's very easy now just to take the names and the data that you have in your list and personalize each email that you send with the recipient's name, maybe with their birth date, or with any other information that you have. The bigger database that you create about your users, the more you'll have an ability to personalize their message. And the more it's personalized, the more people will react to that. You have a higher open rate, a higher click rate, a higher transaction rate, the more personal your emails become. Let's look at how this all comes together with an example. You see, it's a numbers game. It starts with the list. As we talked about, the most valuable, most profitable list you'll probably ever build is the one that you develop yourself. But times you may need to go out and find a list, especially if you're just starting out or getting into a different area. And so it starts with the list, the number of names that you have to start with. The next step is to get into the inbox. There's a lot of obstacles here. Because of the proliferation of spam, internet service providers have enacted many ways of filtering email marketing messages. If your email looks too spammy or kicks off a filter, it won't make it to the inbox. And then again, you also have at the user level, sometimes people have spam filters in addition to what their internet service provider has. And so you've got to get through those filters to get into the inbox. Once your email gets into the inbox, you're competing with all the other emails that a person has received that day or at that time. And so The next step is to get the user to open your email and then to click through. And as you can see, you're losing more and more of those names to get to what you want people to do. And so getting people to open the email is one thing. Getting them to click through the offer to find out more information is another. And then once they see the information, they have to decide that it's relevant and timely and a necessity for them right now to get that conversion. Now, that conversion could be a sale or it could be a lead. In this case, we're going to make it a lead because ultimately that lead has to result in a sale. And so we need so many leads before we can get so many sales. But here's the final cap on the whole thing, and this goes back to one of the new developments, and that's measurement. Measurement, that is, what is the lifetime value of customers that were acquired? What is the lifetime value of the loyalty email that we just sent out to the specific segment? What was the value of that mailing? You can measure every mailing that you send to every segment, and you can look at the value to know what was your return on investment for developing this email or this email campaign, and see immediately how you can adjust, what needs to be adjusted, or if you need to change different aspects throughout this entire measurement funnel. The downside is there's a lot of steps. You've got to look at a lot of different factors to determine if you had the right message to the right people at the right time, sending them to the right page with the right offer in order to get them to convert and become a lead or a sale. But ultimately, you always need to measure. The danger is a lot of people tend to focus on how many opens did I get or how many clicks did I get. And really what you're measuring are two steps in the middle of the funnel rather than measuring the whole funnel itself. You can't just measure the parts. You've got to measure the entire campaign. Now here's an example of a campaign, and this is with a purchase list of high-quality names. And we know it's a high-quality list because of the response rate. So in this example, the list cost about $5,000 to get 200,000 high-quality names. Now, of those 200,000 names, only 140,000 landed into an inbox. So only about 70% of those names got past spam filters or were valid email addresses. Of that 140,000, only 37,800 were opened. So we're now down to about 27% of our names were opened. Then you'll see a drastic difference between an open and a click. So of the 200,000 names, we're only down to about 4%. 1,625 names are still in the funnel and click through to the landing page. Of those 1,625 that got to the landing page, 52 became a lead. They converted and became a lead. Now, of those 52, 14 became a sale. Now, that's a conversion rate of 26%, which is fantastic. That's great. And of those 14 sales, we know that there are an average of 4 annual sales for every new customer. So if we have 14 new customers at an average of 4 sales a year, with an average sale of about $1,800, that comes down to 54 new sales over the lifetime of those customers. That means the campaign generated 1,847% above that $5,000 initial investment for the list. There was a return on an investment of 1,800%. So as you can see, what it takes to develop an email campaign is a good list, a good offer, and a good conversion rate of getting people from that lead into the sale. And then looking at your lifetime value helps you to get a better perspective rather than just the initial campaign, but looking at the long-term value of a customer that was acquired through that campaign. And you can see that the return on investment really makes the case that email is a highly profitable activity in terms of the entire marketing mix. IBM created a campaign very quickly with a budget of $2,000. With that $2,000, they created a personal trainer email campaign that went out to IT professionals for training and education. That $2,000 campaign resulted in validated leads worth nearly $5 million. The ROI of that campaign is well beyond imagination. How great that would have been to have worked on that campaign and see that return on investment. You see, when you've got the right names and you bring the right message to the right people at the right time with the right offer, that is the heart of marketing. And that's what email enables us to do with a highly measurable and high return on investment. And that's why email marketing is far from being dead.
Hey, want to become an expert in digital marketing? Then subscribe to the Simplilearn channel and click here to watch more such videos. To nerd up and get certified in digital marketing, click here.